Good morning, Jackson, Mississippi, and all surrounding areas. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards. I even got the shirt on this morning to prove it. We are streaming live on the Save Jackson Facebook page. We're going to try to do the first segment there. So if you want to see the inside of the WYAB studios, see the beautiful American flag that I am sitting in front of, and see this awesome Clay Edwards Show shirt that I'm wearing, you can stream the show there or go back and watch the video there later, whatever works. Hey, it is a great way for you to share the show. You know, it's like, hey, man, you've been telling somebody about it, been wanting them to hear it. You don't know how to share the podcast. Go to the Facebook, tag them in the comments, hit the share button, and they can do the rest themselves. I give all the pertinent information there. All right, man, good morning here. Here's some of the things we're going to talk about this morning. Jackson homicides. We're at 84. And I'm just going to go on and say this now. Not counting today. That means we had 12 homicides in the last 11 days in Jackson, Mississippi, a town with 178,000 people. I posted this video on across all my social media platforms last night, but I got a reply on TikTok, of all places, about it, comparing Jackson to Topeka, Kansas. Topeka, Kansas has the same population as Jackson, Mississippi, and only had 14 homicides all of last year. We had 153. Let that soak in. 911, they're not responding to calls in the Capital City Improvement District. JPD's been hit with the blue flu. Jeff Good, restaurateur here in Jackson, makes as close to a Save Jackson Facebook post as I think that he ever has. We'll get to that concerning Jackson water. Also, is Joe Biden really got the coof, or is he just pretending and they're keeping him hidden in the basement because he is an absolute train wreck every time he comes out? And let's see here. Oh, speaking of Joe Biden, it looks like the Biden administration has decided to finish the Trump wall. That's right. That's right. You heard it here. We're going to discuss that. And at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, right, as soon as we come back from the top of the hour news at 8:07, Therese Apel is going to join me on the phone, on the Mac Haika Flowwood phone line, to discuss the Anthony Fox trial. That is the former JPD officer who has been charged in the death of a man in Jackson, Mississippi. Big witch hunt. Big witch hunt. He didn't do anything. He good man. He's a current Clinton police officer. So that's what we got on deck for this morning. So let's do what we do. If you want to call into the show after this first segment, the phone lines will open up. The Mac Haika Flowwood phone line is 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Love to hear from you guys this morning. I'm on Twitter also. Just go type in @SaveJXN, and those are the ones I typically can respond to during the show. Let's see here. All right, man, let's just jump in. The Jackson homicides, sitting at 84. As I said a few minutes ago, on the 20th, if we go back to the 20th of the month of July, we were at 72. And that had us sitting well behind the pace of 2021. Let's see here. I got it pulled up here on WLBT's deal. I'll get it pulled up kind of as I'm going here. But that had us on pace, I mean, a good 10, 12 behind. Now, we're only 2 off of last year's pace. On this same day in history last year, we had 86 homicides. Today, we have 84. We had if this was NASCAR, it was a last lap comeback. I mean, this is phenomenal, guys. I'm just sitting here looking at this. So let's see here. On the 29th of this month, we had 76 homicides. On the 29th. So that means we had 5, I'm just kind of playing with the dates here. We had 5 homicides in 2 days. The 30th and the 31st. 5 homicides in 2 days. And they're not even talking about this on the news other than here's a homicide, here's a homicide. They're not talking about the rash of homicides. You realize over the weekend, I want to say it was either Friday or Saturday night. Excuse me if I'm a little off here. There was 2 different dead dudes found in their cars in Jackson. And it wasn't like they got rolled up on and they were stopped at a red light or in the parking lot. These people were shot while these cars were driving down the road. And these people were found dead in them. And I know, before I go any further, I know, Clay, it's interpersonal relationships, as the mayor said. These are people that know each other. Does that not make it worse? Does that mean you can't even trust the people that you are around? Like, maybe I'm a weirdo, but when you tell me that most of this violence is interpersonal, that makes me skittish. Like I think that's worse. I mean, nothing's worse than being like a 2-year-old asleep in your bed and a random bullet coming in and killing a child. That's terrible. Was that interpersonal? I'm just curious. Asking for a friend. Is that interpersonal? You know, and in the midst of all this, there's reports that the Capital City Improvement District, I mean, if you're calling 911 within the, if you ever hear me refer to the CCIB, that is the Capital City Improvement District. If you call 911 from within the CCIB, they are not, JPD is not responding to calls. They're simply telling you that you need to call the Capital City Improvement District. Let's see here. I've got this pulled up. This is on Jackson Jambalaya. This is it looks like it's a post from a Nextdoor app. I'm just going to read it real quick. Another buddy of mine that lives downtown, Rob, had posted the same thing on Save Jackson, but we'll reference this site. I like Kingfish. There's a JPD refusing to answer calls in downtown district. They are telling us it's Capitol Police's jurisdiction and call them. Is anyone else having the same response in Belhaven or Fondren? And some of the comments go like this. Had same response in Belhaven from 911. It's actually sad. Hang up and call the number. It was Capitol. Let's see. And it was a very serious situation. But here's what Kingfish says. It says, for the record, Capitol Police and JPD have concurrent jurisdiction of the Capitol Complex, the CCIB. One shouldn't be too surprised with all these reports. Mayor Lumumba and Chief Davis have been chomping at the bit to cast all responsibility and, of course, blame over to the Capitol Force. Never have so few worked so hard in making excuses. Amen. Amen. Hey, look, man, the Capital Improvement District, that is going to be successful. I'm telling you now. Unfortunately, it's going to take about a year to really get up to speed and for you to really see what's going on there. But with Bo Lucky and Sim Shanks over there and the crew of people they're bringing in over there, a bunch of great officers, it's going to be a very, very successful police force. And it's going to be safe, as safe as it can be, to be downtown. You're not going to have to worry about the nonsense in that area. So fingers crossed that they get that up and going as quickly as they can and they get all the money they need and all the resources they need to do that. So, man, that's crazy. 84. So we're tracking, let's just say we're on last year's pace of 153. Well, I think, and if you listen to the show, any, you know where I stand on this. I think we're going to end up with somewhere between 175 to 200 homicides. And don't let these numbers get lost in the fact that they're just statistics. These are real people. And I shared a link on the Save Jackson Facebook page last night. And I think you guys should go check it out. I can't remember the name of the website off the top of my head, but it's one of the first links if you go to the page today. And I see everybody looking. I see we got a bunch of people watching on the Save Jackson Facebook page right now. When we get off here, just go look at it. It is a memorial of gun violence victims that have been killed in Jackson, Mississippi over the last couple of years, but it starts with the most recent and works its way down chronologically. And if there was a picture available for them, they got their picture there. Some people just have a picture of a magnolia leaf, I guess because it's the state flower. But it lets you see the faces of these people who have lost their lives. And that does paint a different image for you mentally. I mean, it takes this just number away and it puts the faces of these people on. That changes things. It does, because you're actually talking about real people. And I know a lot of it, look, if we ain't nothing else, we're honest on this show. A lot of those people in there, they're bad guys, but a lot of them aren't, so getting the two confused, once somebody's lost their life, we can erase the bad, right? They paid the ultimate price, as they say. But what's earth shattering or heartbreaking is how many young children are in these pictures. It is so sad, so sad. But I recommend going and looking at that, because it's something else. I'm gonna tell you what. Something else I saw was, so I shared that last night, and you just get brain damage from some people. Some people are absolute brain damage. Okay, I got it pulled up here. I want to tell you all the website address if you want to go check it out. It's gunmemorial.org/ms/Jackson. And one of the heartbreaking things on here is, as soon as you click on it, and I know trying to explain to y'all stuff on the radio that I'm seeing on TV or on the internet, it can be a little different. But little Mariah Lacey, who was killed on June 12th, little young girl, she can't be more than 2 or 3 years old. I'm seeing her face here on the screen. Man, that's sad. I mean, why didn't we make a bigger deal out about her death? Because I don't remember that necessarily. I remember the name, but I don't necessarily remember why we didn't make a bigger deal out of her death. Anyway, you can go check this out. Again, it's gunmemorial.org/ms/Jackson. If you can't remember that, just go to the Save Jackson Facebook page, scroll down a couple posts, and you will see it there. All right, I tell you what, man, let's take our first break of the day. When we come back, I want to talk about Jeff Goode's plea to the city of Jackson's leaders to be honest and transparent about the water situation. You're listening to the Clay Edwards Show. The Mac Haik of Flowood phone line is wide open, 601-879-0002. We'll be right back after this break on 103.9 WYAB. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're on 103.9 WYAB. This segment is going to be brought to you by Mac Haik of Flowood, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Get right out there at 4000 Lakeland Drive. You know where they're at. They're right there at Airport Road. If you're looking for a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, or quality pre-owned vehicle, go see my crew over there at Mac Haik of Flowood. They can get just about anybody financed too. Look, they got some of the best finance guys in the city over there. If your credit's hit a pothole, your credit hit a Jackson-sized pothole, go see them, man. That does not rule you out from being able to purchase a car. They got Abe Morris over there. He's one of the best finance guys in the city. They got Corey McDonald, Brendan, Hunter, and Parker all over there, man. Great guys. They will get you rolling. And you can shop them online, MacHaikCDJRF.com. And the Mac Haik of, speaking of Mac Haik, the Mac Haik of Flowood phone line is open here at the studio, 601-879-0002. I got a text on the Guns and Gear text line this morning before I even left the house. And this is from a black Jackson citizen, and he sent me this, and I really appreciate these kind of texts. I do. It says, state of Mississippi should conduct a study on the feasibility of splitting up Jackson into two cities. As one big city, we are constantly on the decline, except for murder and failing schools. What we are satisfied with from educating our children, other districts look down to as motivation to improve. It is like being happy with your child's C-, yet you know he is capable of making a B+. Crime, terrible roads, and worse water are our greatest achievements. We are number one in the state in all three categories, have been for years. Does anyone see any of the three things improving in the near future? Our political leaders don't want to chase criminals, yet they think crime will go down. They want to blame guns, yet never mention absent fathers, yet they think crime will go down. Jacksonians are constantly suffering at every turn, yet we habitually elect leaders with the same mentality. Maybe the other half will take notes. By the way, I'm a black man, not that common sense prefers a color. That's the first thing I read when I woke up this morning. He sent me that at 5:56 a.m. And I don't know his name, but I greatly appreciate that text. And I think that's what you're starting to see a lot of. Somebody sent me a screenshot last night of a conversation within the Nextdoor app, which is your local kind of community version of Facebook. And it is from what I assume. Look, I'm not going to say the guy's name because I don't want to speak for him, but it's from what I assume is a white liberal. And I want to read this real quick too, because and I joked around. I said, in life you either die young enough to be a hero or live long enough to become a villain. I believe I've now lived long enough that white liberals in Jackson agree with me about Jackson. And that is saying something, because we are not on the same page about anything. But this is from the Nextdoor app on Facebook last night. I think this is very telling. It says, at some point, we must look at the state of affairs in the city of Jackson and be honest with ourselves. It isn't working. The city is literally falling apart at the seams. Violent crime is at an all-time high with 81 murders. Obviously, this is a couple of days old, maybe a day old. It's 84 now. Let's get it right. With 84 murders as of yesterday. We could have had additional at this point. You did. There is no trash collection vendor. The only reason our trash is being collected is because some company is basically doing it for free. We are under yet another boil water notice imposed by the state of Mississippi. We literally just ended one not even a month ago. It was actually 2 weeks ago. The roads in the city are the worst I've seen. The Jackson Police Department is falling apart, and the Capitol Police is about who is going to respond to calls within the CID. It's falling apart and fighting with the Capitol Police about who is going to respond to calls in the CID. CCIB. We still have no misdemeanor holding facility for the city because of fighting between the city and the county. Our county jail is about to be taken over by the federal government. It says the fundamental facts are that safety, health, and peace of the citizens within the city of Jackson are in danger. We must be on high alert, going from one place to another, including in and out of our homes, because we are at extreme risk of becoming a victim of violent crimes. Our basic sanitation needs are in danger. Our vehicles are being destroyed on Jackson streets. The problem is that we have too many egos in City Hall and at Hinds County. When you become an elected official, you're elected as a servant to the people. It's not about you. I learned this the hard way serving on many boards. You sometimes must make a decision, often not being the decision you wanted, to continue with the business you were tasked to handle. The bottom line is that politicians have an ego issue. This applies to the city, county, state, and federal elected officials. Stop beating on your chest trying to see what you can make the most noise because you didn't get your way. Start trying to work together instead of getting on the news blasting each other and causing a scene in public meetings. This is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. We have Democrats fighting with Democrats and Republicans fighting with Republicans. Enough is enough. Either get it together or get out of office, because we are all tired of the nonsense. We must start pushing back against the elected officials of the city and county with extreme pressure. We must require these officials to do their job or find a way to remove them. And he said that post was up for discussion. Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't necessarily know that it's a Republican versus Republican in the city of Jackson or Hinds County, but I get the point. He's trying to spread the blame a little bit there. Jackson is falling apart. I went to the wildlife extravaganza in Pearl twice over the weekend. I went Friday afternoon, then I went back Saturday. I had a blast. What a great event. I mean, to come from the drama they had a couple years ago, I think they had it last year at the Refuge, and to find what I believe is going to be its new permanent home there at the Clyde Muse Center in Pearl. They did over 12,000 people over the weekend. That is awesome. So looking forward to seeing what Jake Wyndham and the city of Pearl, and the staff at Hines were able to do with that. But anyway, I say all that to say this. I ran into a lady. They recognized me. I had my Clay Edwards Show shirt on. I made it a little easy. But and they were talking to me about the Save Jackson stuff and thanking me for what I do and this, that, and the other. I don't know what I do. I just sit on here and tell the truth. And I guess that is a rare commodity nowadays outside of WYAB. But she says, she's like, me and my husband want to move back to Jackson, or she wants to move back to Jackson to central Mississippi from down in the Natchez area. She's like, my husband wants to move to Madison, but I want to move to Jackson and get in the fight. I was like, don't do it. She's like, but people have to, you can't win. I'm like, there's too many things out of your control. You can go buy a nice house in East Everett. You can do your part. I mean, you can be a one woman or one man army, but you're not going to get anything done. There's no water. The infrastructure is shot. That is the problem. At the end of the day, you can, everything else, you can tweak and twist and smoke and mirrors and hide. The water and the infrastructure, nobody's going to be able to come here if they can't reach across the aisle from a political standpoint and get some money for Jackson and get it done. If Benny Thompson and Chokwe can't get the money from a three-headed Democrat monster controlling Washington, D.C. right now, nobody can. I mean, look, y'all know how I feel about Jackson, Mississippi, and its current leaders, but Jackson will always be my home, whether I'm living there or not. Secretly, I am pulling for them to get the money to save Jackson. I don't want to see Jackson fail. If they're going to send the money over to Ukraine and all these other stupid projects, we can fix Jackson's water and get some money for infrastructure. If they can't get it from Joe Biden and this administration, where are they? They're never going to get it. Never going to get it. I love that is two great texts that I read this morning. I'm going to get to the Jeff Good stuff in the next segment. I like reading real stuff like that from people. Those are concerned citizens that don't necessarily check the box of a fan of Clay Edwards per se. They don't fit the profile. So I really like reading that kind of stuff because they're saying what I'm saying, but they're not saying it as angrily as I'm saying it. It really is time for Jackson to be divided up. I think the CCID is the start of that. I think at some point they should have a different mayor, different council, different everything. And then I think some of these areas, let's use like west parts of West Highway 80. I'm sorry, not Highway 80. Highway 18 going out towards Raymond. That should be given back to the county, or let Clinton annex it if it so chooses. Let Raymond even annex some of that. From say Raymond Road, Spring Ridge Road up. Well, not Raymond Road, Spring Ridge Road up. Jackson doesn't need that. Jackson doesn't need what it annexed out in Byram from my parents' neighborhood. I think this is a better example. That Forest Hill Road corridor, Brooklyn Hills, Brookwood Country Club, Raintree, all those neighborhoods. Jackson doesn't need that. I don't know if you've been down Forest Hill Road lately. They can't even keep the trees trimmed, or at least last time I rode down they weren't. So if it's been done in the last month or so, my apologies. It doesn't matter. They can't maintain that. It is time to look at lowering the footprint in the city of Jackson and breaking it up into some smaller cities, or letting the cities around it consolidate, swallow it up, one or the other. Look, here's a couple texts on the Guns and Gear text line before we go to the break. Let's see here. Says, you're assuming that DA charged the people that they arrest because they didn't fit the narrative like Floyd did. Call for mass exodus from Jackson. Let the tax base collapse, then rebuild. Yeah, I don't know what the other two things were about, but the mass exodus from Jackson, well, there's been a mass exodus, and it continues, and the tax base has collapsed. But like, at what point is it enough? At what point do people say, I can't take no more? I mean, the state is going to have to step in somehow, some way. I don't know how that works. I'm not a legal scholar. We'll find out. But where is rock bottom? If this ain't it, where is it at? And from the gentleman who sent the text earlier, he replied back. He said, Lumumba might have gotten the money to help Jackson years ago, but he refused to speak with the banker, Trump. That'll be one of the greatest unknowns, won't it? I believe Trump would have done anything. Trump would have danced for y'all, boy. He would have danced. He wanted black people to like him so badly that he would do anything for black folks. But the Democrat black folks were so adamant on he's a racist. We can't work with a racist. He was at the opening of a civil rights museum, for God's sake. Anyway, coulda, shoulda, woulda. All right, you're listening to The Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into The Clay Edwards Show. This segment is going to be brought to you by Guns and Gear, located right out there on Highway 51 in Gluckstadt. Go see Hunter and the team. Get yourself a new firearm. Get yourself one of those angry-looking assault rifles. Ooh, they're so dangerous. Go out there, get you an AR-15 or whatever your heart desires. And one of my favorite things about Guns and Gear is they are the home of no-limit ammo. Whatever you can afford, you can leave with. So get out there, shop them online, gunsandgearms.com, or right there on Highway 51 next to Little Willie's on 51 in Gluckstadt. All right, we got a call on the Mac Hike of Flowood phone line here. Hey, good morning, caller. You're on there.
Hey.
Hey.
Clay, actually, I was listening to you coming in, and I heard something that you were reading from it. I wanted to find out. I wanted to go over that, or let me ask you this. Do you have, I guess, an archive? Can I go into the archives and listen to your...
Yeah, I do. It's go to ClayEdwardsShow.com. Today's show will be up.
Wait a minute. ClayEdward.com?
No, ClayEdwardsShow.com.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And within about 30 minutes of the show ending, the podcast will post. And if you don't want to listen to it from that website, you can go to any podcasting platform as well.
Okay.
But all the links will be available there, and it takes about 30 minutes.
ClayEdwardShow.com.
Yeah, it takes me about 30 minutes to get it edited and put up.
Okay. Well, but what were you reading from earlier?
So I have, and I'll tell you, if you want to text my text line up here and just say, hey, I just talked to you on the radio, I'll shoot you a screenshot of it.
I'll do it.
And the text line is 769 241 1944
1941
1944.
44. Got it.
And I'll shoot you both things that I read this morning because I'm not sure exactly which one you were asking about. So I'll shoot them both to you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, brother. Have a blessed one. That's what I'm talking about right there, man. It sounded like a concerned citizen who wanted to get in on the action. That's what we're talking about. All right, look, I know I've been reading a lot this morning, but I think it's important to bring these things to the table because one of the tools of this administration is to make us all feel like anybody that complains must be a right-wing racist, insurrectionist and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, that ain't the case. There are a bunch of really mad people who are tired of this, of all walks of life, white, black, Republican, Democrat, independent, gay, straight. People are fed up. People are fed up. All right, so speaking of people being fed up, and I don't want to put words in Jeff Good's mouth. Jeff Good has done a lot for the city of Jackson. I didn't agree with some of the stuff during COVID and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But who am I to tell Jeff Good anything? He's got a hell of a track record and hires hundreds of people. I think he staffs about 250 people. So I tell you what, let's take this call real quick here. I hate leaving callers on hold, and then I'm going to read this Jeff Good statement. Hey, you're on the Mac Hike of Flowood phone line.
Hey,
brother.
Clay, I got another idea. They need to start another Northeast Jackson. They can take downtown between State Street and just go all the way to the river on the east side of State Street and run all the way up to, I guess, County Line Road, and maybe bump Fondren in there too. But while they're at it, well, Fondren would be in that with it.
I think Fondren's already in it, I believe.
Just go to
Don't
State
quote me
Street,
on that, but...
go right. Just start at High Street, headed north, go all the way to State Street, all the way to the river, and then gazette from High Street to County Line Road. Start your own city.
Yeah, and use the Interstate 55, and everything on the east of 55 is lost.
Yeah.
From Meadowbrook up,
That you think so?
From Meadowbrook north, well, not so much. I'm sorry. From north side. From north side to the east. I mean to the west. I'm sorry, not the east. I think I said east. To the west is shot. The west side of 55 is shot. I mean, there's a few nice things there, but
not a whole lot.
No. I mean, not from north side up. You know what I'm saying? That area there.
Yeah, but the bad thing about it, my dad told me when he was in high school that Meadowbrook was the city limits for the city of
Jackson. Yeah, I'd like to go back and look at a map and see and see as Jackson grew. And
I was always told that North Park was a horse ranch at one time.
It was.
But man, I'm gonna be honest. Man, it's so far gone right now. I'm like you, Byron and Clinton, and giving some stuff back to the county, and maybe starting another city. That's the only thing that's going to help Jackson.
Yep. I mean,
nobody is going to put. You know why? Do you know why? My personal opinion, Ferry Street never got done because you wouldn't find a bank dumb enough to finance something like that in the city of Jackson.
I agree. You just got to look at it. I'm still to this day blown away when I see people opening up new restaurants in Jackson, considering the water issues.
And you mentioned Jeff Good, and I personally don't like Jeff, but he was a big supporter of Antar's.
I know. He absolutely was. And a lot of people got duped on this, or maybe they just knew he was going to win, so they wanted to be on the winning side, however you want to look at it. But I'm about to read this post from him, and it's as close to something I would type as you're ever going to get out of Jeff Good.
Have a good day.
Hey, you too, brother. Thank you. All right, man. Sorry, if callers want to call in, we are a caller-driven show here, and you guys are as big a part of this show as I am, so I'm always going to prioritize callers. But back to this email. This is from Jeff Good. I said email. Back to this from Jeff Good. This is a Facebook post. It's public. You can go to Jeff E. Good on Facebook, and I've been spelling his last name wrong. I thought he had an E on the end of it. I guess it's the E in the middle name. Anyway. So this is concerning the water in Jackson. All right, I am quoting until I say otherwise. It says, I cannot believe this is happening again. While we have been head down grinding through more challenges than I can even begin to describe tonight, we just received notice, not from the city of Jackson government, but from the Mississippi State Department of Health, that the entire city is once again under a boil water notice. Once again, for a failure at the water treatment plant. State mandated notice linked below. By the way, this was from Saturday night. This is from the 30th. So it's a couple days old. It says, I don't know how many of us in our industry can continue under this duress. I don't understand how 172,000 of us living here can continue to be subjected to this. I am begging our city to get honest about this and transparently divulge the seriousness of the situation, all caps. Those of us who serve the public food and drinks have a fiduciary duty to provide safe and wholesome products. The city should be held to the same standard. The lack of transparency and clear plan of action is downright scary at this point. Jeff, I would say it's criminal. And I would say they're liable. But back to the quotes. I am pleading our city's elected officials to hold a full accounting of the problem. Those of us who call this place home and have been, those of us who call this place home have been more than patient. We roll from one crisis to the next, each time with little information and a vacuity of honest and forthright engagement. Please, Mayor Chokwe, B.C. Grizel, Vernon Hartley, Aaron Banks, Angelique Lee, Virgil Lindsay, Kenneth Stokes, and Ashley Foote, be bold and truthful. Tell us the reality. Jeff, I'm going to tell you the reality at the end of this when I get to reading this. I have lived in the city for 41 years now, and I have never been more concerned. Please, 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 we employ 250 people here in the city. We live here in the city. We generate untold economic activity. We add to the quality of life here in the city, but we are exhausted and we are scared. We need relief, the kind that will only come from honest and transparency and action, true accountable action. The time for accepting the status quo must pass. How can any of us who need to brush our teeth tonight and kiss our children as they sleep accept anything less than transparency? The sage saying is that the truth will set you free. I am proposing that the citizens of Jackson are ready to be set free. Free to land, free to land. Yeah, he didn't say that part, I did. It says, I am proposing the citizens of Jackson are ready to be set free. Tell us, all of us, fully, we cannot continue down this path, end quote. Well, Jeff, I'm going to tell you what the truth is here. I'm going to be very transparent with you. I'm going to do what the administration won't. You need to move. That is the solution. I know you got that nice new building over there, on the other side of the interstate there. It's gorgeous. The new Salamukis, but move. Get out of Banner Hall and move. I don't know what else to say because I don't foresee it getting any better for you. All right, we're going to take our last break of the hour here. When we come back, we'll wrap this up and get ready for hour number 2. You're listening to The Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 WYAB. When necessary, welcome back into The Clay Edwards Show. We got about 2 minutes here before we go to our top of the hour news break. On the other side of that, at 8:07, we're going to come straight back in with Therese Apel with darkhorsepressnow.com on the phone. She's downtown or at Hinds County Courthouse getting ready for the Anthony Fox trial. She's going to bring us up to date and what's going on and kind of what we're expecting to see happen in there today. And there's some shenanigans going down. I'm just going to tell you, I don't want to speak for Therese, but if you're keeping up with it at all, there are some shenanigans going down. And thankfully, it is a jury trial. But look, we'll get to all that. We'll get to all that. We're going to stand here and be one of the loudest voices we can in defense of Anthony Fox and his innocence. Because, hey, no better way to recruit police to your city than to tell them, hey, if you do your job, you may catch a homicide charge for doing your job, yo. Yeah, that's a bad day at the office, and we really do put a lot of unnecessary stress on our police officers, don't we? Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Then we wonder why. Well, so speaking of police, my source over there, Saturday in Jackson, y'all want to know why there was 5 homicides in only a few days? Because there wasn't a third of the police on the streets. Would it have made a difference? I don't know. I tend to lean on the side of, yes, it would have absolutely made a difference. When you got people being shot in their cars as they drive down the road, when there's less than 20 police on the streets in the entire city of Jackson, food for thought. We're going to dive into that too in the second hour. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. All right, welcome back in. It's hour number 2 of the Clay Edwards Show here on Monday, August 1st, 2022, year of thy Lord. This segment is going to be brought to you by Lakeland Glass and Tint, where quality matters. Right over there on Lakeland Drive and on Flowwood Drive. If you need your home, car, or business windows tinted, Lakeland Glass and Tint. If you need to get your vehicle wrapped, they can put the protectant wrap on it, the Expel, or they can change the color of the thing. All kind of options available. Get your logo done on it, everything. Lakeland Glass and Tint, LGT. Check them out online, lakelandglassandtint.com, or give them a call today at 601-946-1000. I'll tell a good story about the owner, Jason, and myself from over the weekend here later in the show. But in the meantime, we've got Miss Therese Apel, darkhorsepressnow.com on the Mac Haika Flowwood phone line. She is downtown at the Hinds County Courthouse for the Anthony Fox trial. Good morning, Therese.
Hey, Clay, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good this morning. How's things going down there? Is business about to pick up?
Business is about to pick up. There's a prayer vigil out here at 8:30, and people are starting to get here for that. Of course, this is day 5 of the trial, and the defense is presenting their case. They've had strong testimony so far. The prosecution's testimony did seem to be kind of all over the place and not really, let's see, what's a good way to put it? And not really organized.
Yeah.
So at this point, this is a case that has been thrown out of court with Fox's other 2 co-defendants. The FBI cleared him. The Internal Affairs cleared him. We've also got a situation where Judge Carlton Reed, federal judge, wrote an opinion that this case should actually be covered by qualified immunity. So that said, I'm sorry, I'm walking as we go. So
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But so the thing is, a legal mind would question why this case is even being prosecuted at this point.
Well, what good does this possibly do for a Jody Owens? To prosecute this. This is not a good look for anybody. And I was saying, I doubt you were able to listen because you're down there. But, in the last segment, I've said, this has got to be the absolute worst recruiting tool for JPD in the history of recruiting tools. Exactly,
because you have a situation. The doctor testified. They had an expert come in. He went to Johns Hopkins Medical School. He's a radiologist, and he testified to seeing, so bear with me, there's a CT scan from when George Robinson came into the hospital that night with a headache and seizures. They took that CT scan and ran it that night. So that's right now it's the only clear picture of what George Robinson's head looked like right after the alleged incident. What he was able to show with his evaluation of that CT scan is that there was only one point of trauma. It was this little scratch on Robinson's head. There was no trauma to his ribs, his back, nothing that you would expect from the prosecution witnesses' stories, which I might add didn't match. But nothing that you would expect in seeing someone who had been beaten and stomped by the cops. Now, in addition to that, George Robinson was taking Plavix, and he was also on aspirin, and those are both blood thinners. This doctor testified to the fact that Plavix, you can get a brain bleed just by jerking your head too hard. This is a situation where, yes, when he was fighting against them and pulled himself to the ground, he scratched his head on the ground. And the doctor said, yes, that's absolutely enough to start the brain bleed that we think did this. But the other thing, too, is when the prosecution showed the autopsy photos, they showed one that had all this dark blood in the back of the skull. Well, what this doctor was able to testify to is that is not blood from the hemorrhage. That's blood from when they had to poke a hole in his skull while he was still alive to relieve the pressure and hopefully save his life. So the prosecution was basing a lot of their case on this extra blood in the head that they said came from some kind of trauma, when it was trauma, but it was medical trauma. It was from that process of a craniotomy. So as far as what does this do for Jody, I don't know. Jody is a defense attorney, and he is trying this case based on what seems to be a defense attorney strategy, just kind of throw things at the wall and see what sticks, which is why Judge Peterson threw it out.
Now, he came from, the ACLU or the Southern Poverty Law Center?
I believe so. I don't know which one, but yeah, at one point I did know. It's one of them.
I mean, look, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'll put them in mine. This is a woke witch hunt.
And the thing is, I've got to be transparent. I have ridden with, task forces with Anthony Fox, and through all this, I've gotten to know him pretty well. I've watched him when someone had shot at us and he confronted the shooter. He didn't lay a hand on him. He didn't touch him, and in this case, the way it's described by both he and Desmond Barney and Lincoln Lampley is they were trying to take the guy out of the car and he was fighting against them, but it was because he had his hands down in the console and they couldn't see his hands and he wouldn't show them. So they bring him out. Fox is on the left side. He's leaned over toward the passenger seat, so Lampley gets on the right side. They get him under his arms and pull him out, and they're trying to keep him on his feet. And people who know anything about self-defense will understand this, but you don't want to take a man to the ground when you're not sure what he's capable of. So the two of them are trying to do what their training says and keep him on his feet. And he is like he's trying to go to the ground. He's pulling his feet off the ground, and he's trying to get his hands to his mouth, they believe, to swallow something. And so their story is that he got that scrape when he was struggling against them on the ground, trying to put whatever he had in his mouth in his hands. So that's kind of where we run into, what actually was done here. The eyewitnesses, alleged eyewitnesses, their stories don't match, and they don't match the evidence.
Shocker. So do they expect a verdict this week?
I don't know if they do. I know there are several defense witnesses today, and I believe we'll be getting close to the end of the witness list probably by Tuesday or Wednesday. So we could see an end by the end of this week, but I do feel like it's possible that this could be a long jury deliberation because you still, in this county, you still have a police officer on trial, whether the evidence points to his guilt or not.
I think this is an opportunity for the citizens of Hinds County to stand up and say that we do not want this nonsense in our city, in our county, and we got to stand behind and back the blue. I hate to use corny lines like that, but this is an opportunity to show what is this city about. Is this city about lawlessness, or this county, whatever you want to call it? Is Hinds County about lawlessness, or is it about supporting the police and getting these criminals off the streets?
Fair question.
And I think this is going to be a real telltale sign. And if for some reason they find him guilty, I would expect to see a mass exodus from Hinds County law enforcement.
Well, about the blue flu the other day.
Absolutely, and it rolled all the way through the weekend. Yeah,
a large part of that was in response to this trial.
As it should be.
Yeah.
As it should be. There were 12 homicides in Jackson over the last 11 days, not counting today.
Right. And you got to ask yourself, is this the city that we want?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to speak for myself here. No.
Well, I moved out too, so.
Yeah. So
anyway.
Well, Therese, thank you for taking the time this morning. I know it's hectic down there. It was great seeing you over the weekend at the Wildlife Extravaganza.
Great to see you too.
Stay safe, and let's try to get you back on here a couple of days this week as you can and discuss this, because I think the listeners are going to be very interested. And of course, they can find all your stories on darkhorsepressnow.com.
That's right. There's a new one up today that talks about the medical testimony I was discussing on Friday.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you, Therese. Stay safe.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. It's Therese Abel with darkhorsepressnow.com. As we told y'all, she won't be coming down to the studio and doing the show with us, not on a regular basis anyway. If schedules permit, she'll still come in some. But we're definitely going to take advantage of Therese's reporting and access to the information she has and use her as a regular caller here on the show, a regular co-host, however you want to say that. Contributor. That's the word I was looking for. As a regular contributor. So when you have one of, if not the best reporters in town, in the state, in the phone book there, you'd be a fool not to take advantage of that. All right. So what do you guys think about that, man? That's cutting off your nose to spite your face is what the city of Jackson and Hinds County and Jody Owens are doing here. Give me a call on the Mac Hike and Flowwood phone line, 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. And we did get a text on the Guns and Gear text line. Somebody suggested and said, hey, was it the vax? That could have led to a brain clot. No, so let me clear that up. This happened on, looks like January 13th, 2019. So this was pre-COVID. But yeah, that is thinking outside the box, and I like that. All right, we got a call on the Mac Hike of Flowwood phone line. Hey, good morning, caller. You're on there.
Good morning. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Jody Owens is one of those George Soros-funded district attorneys.
You would be correct.
Well, there lies the answer.
Yeah.
Because he's marching to the orders of another. And everyone that they appoint throughout the country, his George Soros district attorneys, have been wreaking chaos throughout the country. And they prosecute the good people, and they let out the bad people.
Yeah, I think there should be some criminal liability for these DAs that do this.
If I'm not mistaken, in Missouri, you remember that couple that they prosecuted for defending their home?
Absolutely.
I believe that prosecution was a George Soros let's call him appointee anyway.
Yeah, funded. He got him. Well, you know, the one they had out there in San Francisco that he installed, you know, he got the boot. I wish we had recall elections here. But...
Exactly. So anyway, I just was going to add, because it starts to make a little sense when you peel back the layers of the onion.
All right, sounds good, brother. Hey, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, little side note here, real quick. Unrelated to the show. Congratulations to my daughter. She starts a new job today. And we were actually, or I say we, she was able to get a medical exemption for not having to take the vax to get the job in the medical field, nonetheless. So very proud of her. Very proud that worked. And I have a cousin, Eddie, down on the coast. He's a pastor. He was very involved in making sure she got the right information and everything she needed to properly submit the application for the religious exemption. Did I say medical exemption? I meant religious exemption to not have to take the vax. And we're just very excited for her. So, Kylie, congratulations. I love you. And you can start paying your cell phone bill now. Yay! All right, look, man, let's take a break real quick. When we come back, we'll get back to the phones, text, and let's make fun of Joe Biden some. That's always fun. Lighten the mood a little bit on the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment is going to be brought to you by Watkins Construction and Roofing. A roof repair can cause you a lot of stress. Choosing the right roofing company to repair your roof is very important. Most contractors will try to convince you that replacement is the only way to go, and that, my friends, that is not the Watkins way. They believe in an honest assessment that doesn't necessarily mean replacement. In most cases, all you need is a repair. So whether you have a leaky roof, you need chimney repair, flat roof repair, roof water leak, shingle roof repair, metal roof repair, chimney flashing repair, Watkins Construction and Roofing is your go-to roof repair specialist. Give Watkins Construction and Roofing a call today for your complimentary roof assessment at 601-966-8233 or check them out online at watkinsconstructioninc.com. Great folks over there. Great folks. All right, man. I've been kind of talking about this the whole show, or teased it early on in the show, should I say. This happened, I want to say this happened Friday. So it kind of, you may have missed it if you checked out over the weekend. But it appears that the Biden administration is going to be finishing up the border wall, Trump's border wall, at least in Arizona. And Pierre-Paul, the designated White House spokesperson, refuses to admit that they are finishing the wall, even though they're finishing the wall. And Peter Ducy with Fox goes toe-to-toe with her here. And I'm going to play this. You guys are going to enjoy this. I enjoyed it, and I know if I like it, y'all will like it. This is about 2.5 minutes here. Courtesy
Is
of
the Biden administration.
This is courtesy of the Gateway Pundit.
Building a border wall in Arizona.
So we're not finishing the wall. We are cleaning up the mess the prior administration left behind in their failed attempt to build a wall. And I just want to be very, very clear here. On day one, we returned the money, the $8 billion the prior administration took from our military. We gave that back to the
and then turn right around and send it all to Ukraine.
Military, for military families, for schools, for bases. That's what that money was being used. That's what it was taken away from. And so, again, what we're doing is cleaning up the mess that the prior administration has done.
But President Biden, when he was a candidate, said there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration. Yeah. So what changed?
We are not finishing the wall.
If walls work in that part of Arizona, is this the administration trying to get migrants to cross somewhere else, like in Texas? What is the plan?
We are not finishing a wall. We are cleaning up the mess that the prior administration made. We are trying to save lives. This is what the prior administration left behind that we are now cleaning up.
By finishing the wall, is this?
We are not finishing the wall.
By filling in, finishing?
We are not finishing the wall.
By filling in. Is this racist? Because in 2019, when the former guy was proposing a wall. You said that it was his racist wall. So how is this any different? I'm just having a hard time understanding how this is any different.
I'm not even sure how you get to your first question to this question that you just asked me. I will say this: a border wall. I'm answering your question. A border wall is ineffective use of taxpayer dollars. So it's ineffective of taxpayer dollars that actually went to the military, that the last administration, the prior president, took from the military, which took away from schools, which took away from military bases. That's what that money that he pulled away from to build this wall that he wanted, that is ineffective, by the way, which I just said. Just recently, CBP reported that new bollard fencing along the southwest border was breached 3,272 times between fiscal year of 2019 and 2021, requiring $2.6 million in repairs. It's ineffective. We are not finishing a wall. We are cleaning up the mess.
Well, they love to play word salad, don't they? You know, just FYI, Trump rebuilt the military. Joe Biden gave the Taliban $85 billion. And we're talking about taking money from the military. The $5 billion, I think, is what Trump needed to build that wall. That was the number that was floating that I remember them making such a fuss about. I guess they needed that money to do gender studies and woke training and transgender training in the military. They're upset that money could have been spent to woke up our military just a little bit more. The audacity of these people. And, you know, I'm sure Mike Madison, he's up next. He'll talk about this recession stuff. I'm not going to dive into it, but they're redefining of words and definitions of things. This, that, and the other, it's just mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling. And this person who clearly only got this job as White House spokesperson because she's gay and black is a train wreck. She knows nothing that she's talking about. She just makes a couple notes, and if you ask any question beyond the surface question, she doesn't know anything about it. It's terrible. It is so embarrassing to be an American right now, based upon our representation on the world stage. Never in my life had I been embarrassed on the world stage to be an American. But they are making it really difficult to know that we share the same flag. And I'm sure if it was up to them, we wouldn't. They would change the flag to that new pride flag with the brown and black streaks and all that crap in it. Ugh, nauseating. We need a hard reset, just like Jackson. America needs a hard reset. You know, I know it's cliche to say we need a purge. We need something similar to it. We absolutely do. All right, look, that's all the national stuff I really got for today. Oh, well, Joe Biden. Let's talk about him again real quick. Let's talk about his fake COVID. I don't personally believe he really has COVID. And look, I could be wrong on this. I know if they gave him some of the, I think Mike said the Paxlovid. If he did that Paxlovid, he's probably absolutely sick, and it could be worse this time. Fingers crossed if that's the case. You know, at this point, I don't know that Kamala could be worse than Joe. I really don't. I'm just going to be 100% honest with y'all. Joe needs to go. His son needs to be arrested. But anyway, I think, have y'all seen the videos of him coming out? There's one that came out towards the end of the week when it was two videos kind of spliced together. And he did a 13-minute long speech, and somebody went back and counted. He only blinked 11 times in 13 minutes. That's unnatural. Absolutely unnatural. He looked like his eyelids were taped up. And he was talking, you can't be a patriot and pro-insurrection. You can't be a patriot and pro-insurrection. You can't be a patriot and be anti-vax. And just all these things. And then it was spliced in with something that was clearly a completely different interview, filmed with a different kind of camera and everything. I think it was such a train wreck. And this came out after he had gotten back from, like, the day of him coming back to the office from COVID or whatever. And then that's the same day that he went out there in the lawn with his aviators on. And you know, when Joe Biden wears his aviators, Joe means business. He's ready to get in his Stingray and go fast up and down the road. Get in. We're going to destroy America. You know, when Joe's got on the aviators, he means business. That's when he said, my predecessor, Donald Trump, had to go to the hospital, had to be airlifted to the hospital, and I am back to work in 3 days. And now you're right back in the basement. Oh, man. I honestly believe that he's not sick and that he's such a train wreck that his handlers said, clear the calendar, clear the calendar, clear the calendar. Well, we'll just say he has COVID. Because he is the most protected person in the United States. And I don't mean just by Secret Service. I mean everything. You're not even supposed to know if Joe Biden has a cold. They can't make him look weak in any way in the media. Do you really think that they're going to come out and tell us if he really had COVID? I mean, this is a worst case scenario because he's gotten all of his vaxes on TV, all of his boosters on TV. And I'd never even heard the phrase rebound COVID. But Saturday or Friday afternoon, or is it Saturday? Saturday, I think I'm pulling up to the wildlife extravaganza there in Pearl, and I get a breaking news notification on my phone that Joe is back in isolation with a rebound case of COVID. That's the first time I've heard that. I made a video. I said Donald Trump would have already rebounded from COVID. Joe done got it a second time. The man is not well. The man is not well. There's something going on. All my conspiracy theory tingles and sensations are buzzing off the charts. Something is going on. Is Joe Biden even still alive? Because I'm telling you, that video they put out of him where he didn't blink, and it looked like a deep fake. There's no way it's real. I mean, it's terrible. It looks like some kind of altered image, created like a Sims character or something. I don't know. It was really, really weird. And the White House put this out. This wasn't something that was edited and ended up in the deep web. There's something going on. And I hate sounding like a crazy person, but it isn't normal. All right, look, man, let's take a break real quick. You're listening to the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 WYAB. Breaking rules when necessary. All right, I decided during the break to go back and find the video of Joe trying to troll Trump, and I have Trump's response. And this is not a fake response. This is real. This is off the official Donald Trump profile on Truth Social. But let's listen to Joe with his aviator glasses on here. I wish y'all could see this. This is Joe Biden trolling Trump.
Predecessor got COVID. He had to get helicoptered to Walter Reed Medical Center. He was severely ill. Thankfully, he recovered. When I got COVID, I worked from upstairs of the White House, and the office is upstairs, and for that 5-day period. The difference is vaccinations, of course, but also 3 new tools, free to all and widely available. You don't need to be president to get these tools used for your defense. In fact, the same booster shots, the same at-home test, the same treatment that I got is available to you. My administration has made sure that all Americans across the country, from all walks of life, have free access to those tools. COVID was killing thousands of Americans a day when I got here. That isn't the case anymore. You can live without fear by doing what I did. Get boosted, get tested, and get treatment. At the same time, my administration remains vigilant. Right now, we have the tools to keep you from getting severely ill or dying from COVID. But we're not stopping there. Earlier this...
All right, that's from Sarah Reese Jones on Twitter. I believe that's initially from CBS News. But that was Joe trolling the real American president, Donald Trump. And here is Trump's official reply to that. This is great. It says, Joe Biden's second bout of COVID, sometimes referred to as the China virus, was sadly misdiagnosed by his doctors. Instead, he has dementia, but is happily recovering well. Joe is thinking of moving part-time to one of those beautiful Wisconsin nursing homes where almost 100% of the residents miraculously and for the first time in history had the strength and energy to vote, even though those votes were cast illegally. Get well soon, Joe. Dang, I can't wait for the election cycle to get started back up. It is going to be beautiful. There's this part of me that really hopes they try to trot Joe out there. But I think this is all they're working their way towards getting Gavin Newsom in there. I believe you're going to see Joe resign. And look, I got this from somebody else. I mean, other people have seen and heard this. This is not a Clay original thought here, but it makes the most sense. With Gavin Newsom doing attack ads in Florida on Ron DeSantis and trying to do all this nonsense. Joe's going to retire. Kamala's going to be president. Then right as the time she's going to say that it's not for her, whatever, they're going to appoint her to something. And Gavin Newsom will be the vice president at this point when they promote Kamala. And then Gavin Newsom will run. I guess he would run as the incumbent if Kamala steps down or she sees to the end, or he would be the Democrat nominee. I don't think he would be running as the incumbent. I don't think Kamala would agree to step down, So we'll see. We'll see how all that shakes out. But I think this is a move to get Gavin Newsom in there. And look, he's terrible, but he's better than 90% of the other options for the Democrat side. I mean, they have really got themselves into a corner. It is crazy. The Democrat Party was winning the culture war, pop culture, mainstream, all of that. How did they not groom, and not in that way, Democrats, how did they not groom another highly intelligent, intellectual, good-looking black guy, or woman for that matter, that they could push on to everybody after Obama? How did Hillary Clinton sabotaged this whole thing. This has to be Hillary's fault. But how did they not? There are plenty of highly intellectual, intelligent young black folks out there that are qualified to do this on the Democrat side and the conservative side for that matter. But the Democrat Party plays the race card so much. How have they not found some really, really transcendent black person to run for president? How are we having to go back to Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris? I mean, say what you want about Stacey Abrams. I hate her. I despise her. But I think she connects better with that demographic. Kamala Harris doesn't connect to that demographic at all. She's married to a nerdy white dude and got emo kids. Come on. How have they screwed this up? Keisha Lance Bottoms, the former mayor of Atlanta. Or maybe she's still mayor, but she's not running again anyway. Somebody like that, they connect better with that community. But there's plenty of folks out there that could do this. And they're backtracking to Gavin Newsom? I mean, I'm glad. Thank you. I mean, they're talking about, maybe if they're lucky, they can get Michelle Obama, Big Mike. Come on, man. That's terrible. Oprah? I mean, none of that. You don't have to do that. There are some really good, young, sharp minds out there. Are they not left-wing enough? Are they not woke enough? Is that the problem? Can they actually cross the aisle? I don't know, man. The Democrat Party's got itself into a situation. The right side, whether you want to call it the Republicans or not, just the right side of sanity seems to be where all the normal people are, all the cool people. It's the party you want to be in, And I'm not necessarily just referring to the Republican Party. The Libertarians, they're seeing a big shift in popularity, and they sound sane now. We're used to. I didn't always think they sounded the most sane. They really got good leadership now, and they're putting out some good content, and they're making sense in a world that is hard to make sense in. But, man, the Democrats have got themselves into a situation. We got some text on the Guns and Gear text line. It says, this is referring to, if Joe steps down, Kamala being president. Says they are ran by the same person, so it would be all the same. Kamala and Biden are ran by Obama. Says a teleprompter takes him out weekly. If COVID doesn't take him out with 2 chances, then I think COVID is officially over. This destroys the COVID narrative. Absolutely destroys it. That's why they're trying to send out the schlong COVID, monkeypox. I'm going to pull this article up here real quick. Y'all bear with me while I type this in here. This is really interesting here concerning monkeypox and the gay folks. This is the San Francisco AIDS, what's it called? San Francisco AIDS Foundation. They are basically telling people that it is okay to go out and have, if you have kids in the car, 5-second warning here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I hope you changed the channel or turned it down. They are telling gay people in San Francisco that it is okay to go out and have orgies. And just, if you have an open sore, put a Band-Aid over it. And maybe start being a little more picky with your partners, but not a big deal. Not a big deal. Let's see here. There was a whole thing about on this website. I saw it last night online. Here we go. This is called, I hope this is somebody's name, and I'm not saying a word I'm not supposed to on the radio, but it says Ducy's Guide to a Door Alley Without Fear of Monkeypox. This is where they have orgies in San Francisco. So Dore is here, but so is monkeypox. Here are some ideas to reduce your risk and still enjoy your favorite kink and fetish festival in San Francisco. So I guess Dore is a kink and fetish festival. Let's see here. It says, don't skip the piggy parties. And you may be asking yourself right now, Clay, what is a piggy party? Well, I'm glad you asked. I have the definition of a piggy party right here. A piggy party is when a group of older homosexual men dressed in leather sodomize a young lad, usually tied down, to represent gay rape. Yeah, here it is being used in a sentence. We all went down to the bath with little Brian and had fun penetrating him in our piggy party. Oh, this is the .org. This is the .org putting out this information. There's don't skip the piggy parties. We've heard from people who are worried about attending events out of fear of contracting monkeypox. We hope you partake while also taking steps to reduce your risk. It's been a long few years without community events because of COVID. We think it's time to get back out there safely, and if you feel comfortable doing so. Be aware but not overly afraid. Play dress up. Look, I feel weird reading a lot of this on here, but these are just some of the highlights. It says, take a friend to the dungeon. I'm going to read this because this is the same group of people that told us we should stay locked in our homes and not go to church and not go to work over the sniffles. But it's okay for them, the same group that battled with AIDS and transmitted AIDS to people, the same group is now saying, hey, they just named this a national emergency, monkeypox. And the same group that is highly, highly likely to get this through their gay activities are telling people that it's okay, just come on. I'm going to read you this. It says, take a friend to the dungeon. Going to sex parties with people you know and planning on who you'll hook up with can be one way to reduce your risk if you're able to have an open and honest conversation about monkeypox symptoms and possible exposure. Talk to the people you'll play with ahead of time about monkeypox, but also things like HIV, PrEP, and other sex testing. Move to less crowded areas. Consider skipping the dark back rooms at parties if they're super crowded and there's no way to control who you're bumping up against with and rubbing with skin to skin. All right, look, man, the same crew of people that freaked out about COVID are now promoting what they're trying to pretend is the next worldwide pandemic in monkeypox. Why wouldn't you say, don't do this? I mean, God forbid, just don't have sex. How about that? Just don't have sex with a stranger. And all this, if y'all would just stop gay sex for 2 weeks, we could flatten the curve. For 2 weeks. All we need is 2 weeks of y'all to behave. No orgies for 2 weeks. And we can flatten the curve. All right, man, we got a caller on the line. Hey, caller, you got about a minute before I got to take a break. You're on there.
Yes, how you doing? Real quickly, I just wanted to say I was listening to you, and I want to say one thing, that this is all goes back to these people are being by Satan.
Absolutely.
You know, they just hate everything. Satan doesn't necessarily hate the people. He hates God. And any people, they don't want to, that's what gets me, is they can't open their eyes up enough to realize what they're being led by a liar. You know, I mean, going back like to abortion, they know that is wrong. I mean, you can open your eyes. God says it's wrong. I mean, but they don't want to follow what they say. God, they rather follow a person that's a liar.
Yep.
And it just doesn't matter. That's all I have to say. You take care and have a blessing, okay?
God bless. Thank you so much. And they just had Drag Queen Happy Hour in a church in New York for the youth. Oh, man. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 WYAB. Again, to the last couple minutes of Monday's Clay Edwards Show. Hey, tomorrow, join us here on the Clay Edwards Show. Richland Police Chief Nick McClendon will be in the studio with me. They've got their big national night out this upcoming weekend or this week. I forget the exact day. Anyway, we'll get all that together. But Nick will be in the studio with me tomorrow, so it should be a good time. Also, I saw here where Kenneth Stokes wants to sue the state of Mississippi over the hot pursuit law. We'll see how that works out for him. And I don't know, man. That's really about it for the day. I thought we had a good show. If you missed any of it, the podcast will be available here in about 30 minutes over at all major podcasting platforms. You can always check out ClayEdwardsShow.com. All the links are available there. Make sure you're following me on social media at SaveJXN. And Alex, I am on TikTok too, if for some strange reason that is your preferred method. But I'm really there to try to reach the younger folks, let them hear a sane voice. But it's just at Clay Edwards on TikTok, and on Instagram and Facebook, it's at Save Jackson. Look, you got Mike Madison coming up next, followed by Dana, then Jamison Haygood, the Watchman on the Wall, followed by Mr. Kim Wade. Will he run for mayor of Jackson? Kim will clean this up real quick. About one day in, Kim will have them all cleaned up. No more PhDs. All right, man. See y'all tomorrow. Same time, same place.